Image and form is the king of making me like genres that I don't ever think I'd like. It started with SteamWorld Dig, where I just didn't think the game was going to be for me, and I played it, and it became one of my favorite games. And then they showed SteamWorld Heist, and I was like, oh, this type of game isn't for me, and then I played it, and I loved it. And SteamWorld Quest is the same thing. I saw that it was a card battler, RPG mechanic style game, and I was like, oh, I suck at these. I'm not going to be any good. This isn't for me. And then I played it and I'm like, well, I was wrong again. You think I would learn, but I just don't. So yeah, long story short, I love SteamWorld Quest. And if you love previous SteamWorld games, chances are you're going to love this game too. SteamWorld Quest is a card battling RPG, so every fight you get into uses cards. Cards are used to attack, to defend, to cast magic, to heal, and other stuff. You get these cards from hidden areas and treasure chests. You can create new cards, you can upgrade cards with items you find, and it's all about building the best deck possible. Now, each character has their own deck, but decks can't just be as many cards as you want, otherwise you'd be like, I'm taking all 68 cards into battle. That's not how it works. You have a limit on how many cards you can have in your deck, so it's all about piecing together the right cards for the right situation. So sometimes you'll want to change up your deck in between fights. Sometimes a deck will be good to run through an entire level. It all depends on who you come across, what they're weak to, and what you think will do the most damage against them. To tell you the truth, card management is a huge part of the game because your cards will have values on them. When a battle starts, you'll be given a random assortment of cards based on the deck that you've previously built, and then in the corner of those cards you'll see a little gear value. So a card might say 2 gears on it, and that lets you know you need 2 gears in order to use it. So how do you get gears? During battle, there are cards that don't have any gear values on them, so they can be used at any time. Something like a punch, or a basic sword attack, or a basic shield spell. They can be used whenever you want, and each time you use one of those, it builds up 1 gear. So once you've built up enough gears, you can use your bigger cards, like a 3-valued gear fire attack or something like that. As you probably guessed by now, it's not all about building a deck with the highest gear value cards because you need ways to actually use them. It's about building a balanced deck that has powerful cards in it and also cards that allow you to build up gears. If you build a deck that has like 90% gear cards in it of like high values, 3s, 4s, whatever, and you give yourself only a couple regular cards to build up gears, chances are you're going to lose the battle because those cards may never come into rotation and you'll never build up enough gears to use your bigger cards, so you're just going to be a sitting duck while the enemy keeps taking turns and you're unable to spend any of your gears to use the bigger cards. When you find new cards that are super powerful, you're going to have the urge to put them in your deck right away, but again, that's not really going to be a good idea all the time because removing a couple cards and putting in these new powerful ones could throw your deck out of whack, and again, with the random nature of it all, you could find yourself getting screwed over more often than not. So you have to build a balanced deck, and you will find a deck that works for you in the majority of battles, and you'll upgrade them as you go along, but just don't go crazy and try and throw all your best cards in there because it's just not going to work. You will get a deck that eventually works through a good amount of battles, but there's going to be times where you have to change it up because you're going to come across enemies that have certain attributes or enemies that'll deal you very specific damage like poison or make you bleed in between turns, and you're going to want to have different cards to handle those situations, perhaps to heal or to hit the enemy harder or whatever it may be. So you're going to spend a lot of time customizing your deck, and it becomes a little game in and of itself, and it's actually pretty interesting to see what you can put together and what you can do. Sometimes you might need to battle an opponent like a few different times before you figure out, okay, I know what kind of cards I really want to get in here. There might be a few instances where you go through a test run with a deck and you're like, nah, that didn't really play out how I thought I would, and then you go back and refine it and it works out the next time. So this little sub game of seeing what works in a deck and building the right type of deck for harder battles ahead actually becomes a lot of fun. Now, because I suck at both RPGs and card battling games, I had quite a few battles that didn't go my way, and I had to reshuffle my deck quite a few times. And there were some instances where I tried to do it quick and just swap out a couple cards, and it did not work for me. When I took the time and I was patient and I really thought about the battle and how things usually went, it was so satisfying to win that victory. Like, I'd fight a boss a couple times and get my ass kicked, and then I'd go in and be like, alright, damn it, I'm gonna figure this out. I got the cards to do this. I just need to think about it and take my time. Then I'd go in and finally take that boss out, and I was like, I'm the best player in the world. It's such a great feeling to go through that, and at least that came up for me multiple times. I imagine lots of you are going to be better players, but the satisfaction for me taking the time and actually figuring out something that worked was really enjoyable. One of my favorite parts of the card battling is the chain ability. Now, as I said earlier, each character has their own cards, and during battle, you get to use 3 different cards. Now, if you happen to use 3 cards from the same character, you get a bonus 4th card, or move, whatever you want to call it. So say you do 2 physical attacks and 1 magic attack from the same character. That will add in a 4th something. Depending on the character and what you've upgraded it to, it could be a big physical attack, it could be a healing thing for the whole team, it could be some sort of magic attack, whatever it is. Like I said, they can be a change / upgraded, so that can really make the difference and turn the tide, especially in big battles. And yes, it's nice when it randomly comes up, but obviously you can try and plan it out too. You can build your deck to hopefully lay out something like that happening, but also when you're actually in the middle of a battle, you can line up your cards and say, I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm going to try and get that 3rd card next round, and then hopefully I can go in for the 4th attack and really change the tide of the battle. So that's really fun when it happens randomly, but it's more satisfying when you actually plan ahead. You also have the option to reshuffle cards each turn, but you only get to reshuffle twice each turn. So that's twice overall, not 2 reshuffles for each card, just 2 reshuffles in general. So make sure you pick the cards you want to reshuffle wisely. You want to reshuffle cards because you have a powerful attack you want to wait until later to use, or you don't have enough gears to use on a card and it's pointless to have it in your deck, or you just have no gears at all and every card in your deck requires gears, so you reshuffle them, cross your fingers, and you're like, please God, give me a basic no gear attack so I can build up some gears. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It could be the saving grace during a battle, or it could just screw you over more. So yeah, the majority of the gameplay is the card battling. That's what you're going to spend most of your time doing. But in between that, you're wandering around like a 2D side-scrolling kind of beat-em-up style map, so you can move up and down on that 2D plane. And you'll come across enemies, and you can get the jump on them by attacking them first, which makes them lose health when you go into the battle. Or they can hit you first and you'll lose health, standard stuff. On the map, you'll see like little squares representing where you can go and where you've been. There's also secret areas that you can find that are hidden behind like bushes or tree branches or rocks or whatever. And that's usually where you find sometimes very tough enemies protecting treasure chests, or just treasure chests in general. Or bushes and twigs and boxes to break that will have coins in them that you can spend at the shop. So the overall visual presentation is, I'd say, very similar to what you saw in SteamWorld Heist, just with the up and down movement added to it rather than just a straight on 2D plane. But if you liked the visual presentation in previous SteamWorld games, I'm sure you're going to enjoy what you see here. It's a really nice, gorgeous art style. It's got a very nice soft feel to it. The character designs are wonderful. There's some robots that have really funny designs to them that I don't want to spoil, but you know, it has that kooky, weird vibe that other SteamWorld games have, and I mean that as a compliment. Also, as with other SteamWorld games, SteamWorld Quest has a lot of humor to the story. It has some sentimental moments. It has some serious moments. I mean, that's what Image and Form does. They mix all those together and try and make it a evenly toned experience throughout. And I think they've done that again with SteamWorld Quest. It's a very enjoyable experience. The characters have very unique personalities and are very different from one another, but it's about them working together. The enemies you come across can be a little fierce and evil, or can be a little bit goofy, so it's a nice mix as you go along, and it all builds up into something really fun and memorable. There's certainly, I think, more story to SteamWorld Quest than there has been previous SteamWorld games, and it's a very nice, interesting, enjoyable story. Obviously, it ties into other SteamWorld games, and there's some elements to it that, well, I don't want to spoil anything, really. I like to keep my reviews as spoiler-free as possible, but yeah, previous fans of SteamWorld games should find a lot to enjoy here, but newcomers don't have to worry about getting bogged down by backstory or anything like that. You'll find plenty to enjoy here as a newcomer. The soundtrack in SteamWorld Quest is really good too. It's very, I don't know, what do you say, adventurous, Lord of the Rings-ish, something like that. You know, there's whimsical flutes and stuff like that when you're out gallivanting through the forest, and some more serious stuff when you're down in like dungeons or caves and stuff like that. The battle theme in particular is really enjoyable, but it's not like super aggressive and like hardcore. It's just something that motivates you while you're battling with cards. It kind of, I don't want to say fades into the background, but it never gets annoying and you're never like, oh, this repetitive loop over and over again. It fits very well. The boss battles obviously amp things up a little bit in the music department, but the boss theme is actually one of my favorite songs in the whole game. Again, it just makes the situation feel a bit more high stakes. I sound like a broken record, but SteamWorld games all do really enjoyable things when it comes to gameplay, visuals, and audio, and it seems like SteamWorld Quest continues that streak. I mean, it's an enjoyable audio package top to bottom. I'm always honest with my reviews, and I feel there's something I have to tell you to really drive home how I feel about this game. Before the game came out, I was wondering if it was going to be for me, like I said, but this is something that I feel with image-informed games over and over again. Ever since I played the original SteamWorld Dig, which I didn't think I would like and I ended up loving, I wonder if the next image-informed game is going to be the one that breaks the streak for me. SteamWorld Heist was announced, I was nervous, I played it, and I loved it. SteamWorld Dig 2 was announced, I was like, oh, is this going to be the one that ends up not being good? And it wasn't. SteamWorld Quest was announced, I was like, oh, it's so different from the other ones, but I loved it. SteamWorld, or Image Informed, for me anyway, always has this magical way of taking genres that I think I don't like and making me really like them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's their approach to these genres or just the way they approach games in general. I just always end up being surprised with how they make me enjoy genres I don't typically enjoy. Genres I specifically stay away from. Card battling and RPG games are not my thing because I suck at them, I get frustrated with them, I think they're just not for me. But SteamWorld Quest is certainly for me, and I had my struggles and I had my challenges, but SteamWorld Quest was so engaging for me that I never got frustrated and I never felt like throwing down the controller. I was always motivated to do more, and I don't know if that's the universe building or just the talent of Image and Form or whatever it may be. But that's how I feel about the game. That's how I feel about all of Image and Form's games. They managed to turn things that I don't think I'd like into something I'd love. I can't say enough good things about SteamWorld Quest. It's everything you've liked from previous SteamWorld games as far as vibe and tight gameplay and just whimsy and all that kind of stuff. Just, you know, presented in a different genre. So now instead of platforming, you're card battling and doing RPG stuff. And it just makes me excited to see what Image and Form does next, because I'm sure they're going to pick another genre that I don't typically enjoy and make me love it. So SteamWorld Quest is a fantastic game. I could talk all day and night about it. I can't say enough good things about it, and Image and Form deserves every bit of praise they get for this title.